Hi everybody, welcome back to Craggy Brook Witchery, and this is video number 2 in a sequence of videos about using a charm board, or some people, as I said, might call it a spirit board. I wanted to show you some of the tools a little bit more in depth before we start moving around some of the inserts here. One of the bigger tools is definitely the charms. And this can be really fun to collect. They don't have to be expensive. And I've put some of them aside here that I've collected in various spots. Thrift stores. Sometimes you get a bag of jewelry or charms already separated. Bead stores, metaphysical stores, and even things that might come out of Christmas crackers. Those can all be used in your bowl. And this bowl, it sits nicely in people's hands. It really is wonderful to see them and watch them tossing through their charms and really enjoying it and putting their intentions out there, their thoughts, picking up a few, dropping on the ball, and then we do our readings. But again, this was something I inherited from an ancestor. So gifts are wonderful. Gifts of charms, beads are wonderful. Things that you can find in nature even. This little acorn cap might speak of knowledge, learning for someone. All these things, these little tiny beads. But I'm going to set this aside for a moment. And I'm going to show you just a few that I've set aside to get you thinking about where you can collect little items that mean something to you symbolically that you can include in the bowl. Now, if you go into craft stores, you're going to see lots of these. And then ask yourself, what would that mean? Does it mean that I've forgotten something? Do I need to make a note of something? There must be something important when somebody picks this up. And so you would be reading with them, and when they landed, your job as the reader is to help trigger some of these thoughts within people when the charms come up and make sentences and little stories. This is a great tool to use to communicate with someone else in a very intimate setting and sharing their stories with you. It's just really, really exciting. And to bring thoughts into their minds as they're reading and leave them with a positive note before they leave, that you've done your best. Together you've conquered some of the issues that were bothering them, and you set them on a happy path. Okay, this one, this is a little token I found in a thrift store. I don't know what it came off of at one point, but for me, this represents creativity when I see a box of crayons. Just, it brings back memories of school times. So would you talk to them about, are they being creative? Are they artistic? Have they tapped into some of their playfulness lately? Things like that. Little ballerina slippers. Are they dancers? Do they love to dance? Do they have some grandchildren that are dancers? It's endless where you can go with your playfulness when these charms come up. Crystals can be brought in. This is a pretty beat up sunstone, but it's in here, so I could talk to people about, are they tapping into their strengths? Are they into crystals? Get the idea? This one here reminds me of the Lenormand cards, the fox. Is somebody being a little bit deceptive? Are they wearing a mask? I think this came out of a Christmas cracker. It's a little bit of a wrench. So you could talk to people. Is there something difficult going on right now with a situation? Is there something that needs repair? Again, it's plastic, but it can go in with your charms. Beads. Beads are wonderful, especially if they have letters on them. Because I have found many, many times that these letters represent someone whose name, for instance, starts with an S. Or is it S for son or sister? Another interesting charm, maybe for someone who's a gambler. Have they been to Vegas lately? Some are expensive because I know that friends have inherited some of their parents' or grandmother's jewelry. This one came off, I think, an aunt's of one of my friends' charm bracelet, and it opens up, and it is much more expensive. But your charms don't have to be that way. A little glass bead again, reflective, like a burst. A little bit of sunshine, happiness, clarity. Again, you can get some charms that are metal. Or look for pins. This is a little doggy pin that somebody wore on a scarf or a jacket at one time. And then you could talk about their pets. So that's the charms that I use for the everyday reading. And in the last video, you saw it sitting in the charm board area when we were dropping for playtime. But the charms, they really sit in the person's hands, and then I take it from them and I move it aside so that we have the full board for the charms to drop on. And it doesn't hurt this little crystal ball when they drop, but I have to sort of indicate that they need to drop fairly close so that they don't fly out. And because this board is a little bit deeper, it does make it nice that it holds the charms. But if they do happen to pop out and over in some of the little crevices, I look at that as that's not part of the reading. I just sort of discard that and don't pay attention to it. Sometimes the charms go underneath here, and we have to actually lift the ball to see where it has landed. But that is important because that's right at the heart of the spread. So I'm going to take this ball off now, and we're going to talk a little bit about this insert and what's on it. Okay, now this is fairly clear, I think, for most people. It might be needing zoomed in at the back when we get to that. But this was just a creative playtime, thinking of things that people might ask, topics and areas within a person's life that they might have questions about. And then I just decided to do it in a leaf pattern because I think of leaves, I guess, as nature and growth. And if you've done some magic of your own, you know, sometimes with a bay leaf, we can place our thoughts, our wishes on the bay leaf and use that in a spell bag or a charm or an incense. Whatever you want to put in here, and you'll see a variety of different inserts and shapes and ideas. This is just my creativity and my play. So you can see that some of the messages in this area, they might be referring to relationships and money and news around that, because you can see payday, gains, news. Well, if a charm landed in here and it straddled both gains and news, then we talk about that. If it lands right in the heart of the sweet deal, then you can discuss with them. There might be some good fortune coming towards them. There's the winnings here. As I say, you might have some gambling charms where that would be beneficial. But when the charm ball is set in here, it really does hold things down. You won't get a rotation of the sheet that's here. And probably this sheet was used for 5 years or more in a metaphysical store, and people have touched it. It really has held up well. And this was just drawn on with a Sharpie, one of those permanent Sharpies. And I see that some of the letters over in this section here might need to be touched up, but it still serves me well. So if I take this away here and look a little bit further, you can see that there's gifts and heirlooms over here. So maybe this is ancestry stuff, aid from a friend. I'll just move this down a little bit so you get a better peek. And let's zoom in. So I'm going to give you a chance to see some of the writing. I don't have to talk about everything here, but you can see some of the words, and you can get them as I say, from ideas in books. Flip through, look at words, look at topics that are being presented on news channels, Google platforms. Find out what you think people are interested in talking about that might come up for them, and work it into a sheet of your own. So I'll zoom back out there, and now I'm going to show you just how easy it is to take this sheet out. It's a little trickier getting it in, but with patience, and I'm sorry for the sound, but this is how it comes out. And then you're left with your blank canvas again. So I'm going to put the everyday charm board sheet aside. And I'm going to bring over one for love and relationships, for friends. And it doesn't matter how it's put down, as long as you can read it. It might be upside down for the other viewer, but you see, it just pops in here. And we're ready to roll again. And I'll zoom in a little bit so you can see some of the wording. And zooming back out. Now again, this is just with Sharpie pens. And you can see some of the words down below. The words are what matter to you, but also what people would be interested in tapping into if they came towards you. There's celebrations here in this corner, popularity, dreams can come true. I think there's even one on here that says he truly loves you, but that could be she. Anything. You have to be open. This one down here is nice. It's inspirational. There's some luck after some difficulties. There's some decisions to be made. So again, you would be just going through your charms and the person would be dropping the ball. So it sits here again in the center, holds everything in place. Take a few charms, drop it on the ball, see where it lands. Now, some of the charms, as I said, are important if they're upside down. Now, for instance, this penny here. Usually, if we find a penny heads up, that's lucky. So if it's down, there might be a little bit of unfortunate circumstances around something that they were wishing for. But look, it lands here, luck after difficulty. So that sort of reinforces the pennies not heads up, and they could use some luck after some difficulty. So that's really neat when that happens there. And it sort of straddles the wait a second over here, something that they really need to sit with for a bit. So if there has been a difficulty, you can assure them that there is probably some luck coming, but it might mean that they have to wait a little bit. Okay? Now, if we look over here, I'll try to zoom in a bit. There we go. This is a little gift box. And you can see if I put it here, it's got a little ribbon on it, a little bit of a bow, and it landed right over here in this corner, close to togetherness. So there might be a gift coming from someone that they're close to. And it would be a surprise because the gift, it's all wrapped up. It's got a bow on it. It's special. There's a special gift sometimes of being together with someone. So it doesn't really have to be a gift. It could be the gift of friendship. And then over here, this one is upside down. And it's a little bunny rabbit. So if I flip it over, you'll see the little head of the bunny and the ears. So if the bunny's flipped over, bunnies to me represent fertility. And it doesn't have to be fertility within the woman's body. It could be fertility in something that they're working on. If we go back to the relationship again, maybe there is a little bit of struggle because it is upside down. It hasn't been going well for them. There have been some difficult situations. So you might say, well, it's still a good relationship to you. It's something to be valued. But for now, it doesn't seem to be going anywhere. And then you give them a chance to talk and explain their story. Sometimes it's just all about having that time to share with someone. Now, there's a little bead over here I'll bring forward, and it's got an R on it. So I would be asking them, does this have to do with someone whose first initial or last initial starts with R? Or is it a relative? And that happened to be down here next to, push it back here again. You can see strangers no more. And it is important if the bead has the letter up to me versus down. Okay, so that's some of the charms. Now, those weren't the love charms that go with this, but I can show you some of those, no problem. Let me just put these ones aside. That gives you an idea how some readings go. Now, the love charms. I happen to have a pink bowl I got at a thrift store in the food section. So that would be the bowl that people would place in their hands. Again, it's not that heavy, and it holds the charms. And I keep the charms in this little bag, and I label them all just simply. This bag has my love charms in it. Now I'm going to open those up, place them in the bowl, and again, there's some beads in here. There's some hearts in here. There's some stars. There's rings for engagement. What's this? Oh, that's sort of like Lenormand too. So this would be, if coming up in a reading, talking about a significant other who might be a woman. If the star came up, they're very important to them. If a bead came up with an M, then you could discuss, like we did earlier, is that someone's initial M? And it can also be W, but it seems to be more comfortable shape as the M that way. Let's see what else we've got in here. Oh, a crown. Again, let your imagination go. What does a crown, what does royalty? Maybe this woman is quite a classy lady, if this charm came up. Let's see what this one is. Oh, this is sort of like a frame or a certificate. So this would be a very important person to them. A fan. Oh, you could say that somebody's being a little bit flirtatious. They're a big fan of yours. So again, you get the idea. Create some charms that mean something to you and put them in sections. Come up with different sheets for down below. And there's another sheet I'm going to show you. So I'm going to take this away. Again, excuse the noise. Pulling this one out. So if somebody was coming for a love reading and they didn't want an everyday reading, then certainly I would pull out that one. Now this one that's coming up is for ancestors. So if somebody wants to tap in to someone within their family that they miss, then this is the ancestor one. And I'm going to position it probably for a reading with the tree facing me. And you can see before I put the crystal ball on some of the words in here. I'll zoom in a bit. Right at the heart of the tree, there's a I am sorry. So this could be information from an ancestor coming through that never had a chance to say to the person who's getting the reading, I'm sorry. I really like this one here. If you never heard someone like a mother or a father, someone you were close to, say that they were proud of you when a charm comes up here, this is really fabulous. Okay, so I'm just going to let you take a look at some of the other words. And again, I mentioned about the writing on the side of the charm board itself. So if charms came up in this section, I could ask them if the person we're talking about is from the zodiac sign, the Scorpio, or are they showing traits of a Scorpio person? Someone who's highly intuitive, might be judgmental, always changing. With the death card there, they're always transforming, always changing. There's always things that you yourself have, knowledge that you've built up. Now this sits a little bit, as I said, up a bit, but once the ball's on, all of it is quite legible. And the tree branches off over this way. And sometimes we do ask our ancestors if we're going the right way. So this little spot here, build your own skills, find your own dreams, dig deep, or if something didn't work out, try again. So these are words that you can bring and add on to the charms that fall. So I'm stopping there for a second to show you how the charm board accepts the ball in the center. Yes, some things are covered, but part of the fun is it's like a gift. If charms go underneath there, and I'll scan out again, then we can just remove the ball and say, ooh, what's under here? And then we'll look at it and enjoy it. So that gives you a few of the inserts that I have designed. It gives you the idea that you can create different containers for your charms. You could use the same charms from one sheet to another. That's just up to you. Be as creative, as passionate as you can. And then there is one more insert that I could show you, because I know there's an awful lot of tarot readers out there. This might really excite some of those people. So I actually have 4 different inserts, and I felt that was enough. That covered an awful lot for people. Now you have to just make sure it's the right side up. I think I had it right there the first time. So I haven't got, oh, these would be the water ones over here. So I'm going to switch this around, because I think when I designed the charm board, these were the water elements from the horoscope, from the zodiac. So when I put this down, I really do pay attention to that. Okay, so there is, and I'll show you different sections. So the coins there are on the right from a tarot deck. There's your wands, there's your cups, and there's your swords. So you've got earth, air, fire, and water. You've got all of the cards for each suit illustrated. You've got a little symbol to bring in for you the heart, the emotional element, the feminine, whatever it means to you. And then your ball sits in the middle. And I did, yes, I did pick charms that goes for tarot. So I'll pull a couple out here. And I don't have my description sheet. I can do that in another video. Little doggy. And if you know the tarot cards, there's a little doggy in the Fool card. So to me, if this came up, I'd be accessing all the information I knew about the Fool card. Yes, it's a dog, and you could talk about dogs, but that wasn't meant to be. This one is my magician. Merlin. Hope that's focused enough for you, but there you go. You can get the idea. So I have charms in the box. I'd have to find another little dish I can see to place them in, something magical rather than this cardboard box. But it is fun to use the charms, use the symbology that you feel for each of the charms, and bring the tarot information that you've been gathering all these years into play, drop it on the ball, and see what house they're landing in, what cards they're landing in. It's limitless. So I'm going to leave that there for today. We've talked about the different inserts. We've touched a little bit on the charms. And I hope that inspires you. So it just means that maybe you have to go out and look for a tray or a mirror, something that gives you enough room to create the information areas that you need, and then set about gathering your charms. But for now, for today, I'm going to send a big thank you out to my new subscribers. I love talking to you. Hope to talk to you about this as well. And let me know about your inspirations. Show me the mirrors that you find that you're working on to create your own charm board or spirit board. It really is something fascinating to work with, and it's nice to do with someone else. And I usually only read for one person at a time. It's not like a Ouija board where you're sitting with 3 or more people. This is one-on-one or just yourself. So enjoy, have a great day, and I'll see you back here on Craggy Brook Witchery shortly.